So, you need a new shift knob for your Mercedes, and you no doubt looked online and seen that everything, even the Momo stuff, is at least $100. This here is a $25 shift knob, and we're going to make this work on your manual Mercedes, or it could even work on your automatic. But yeah, this is just a Chinese made one, actually half decent quality, and for 25 bucks Canadian, we can make this work. So the key to making one of these work is that, and this is the first one I've done, by the way, I just, thought this through, and this seemed like the best option. I'm sure there are other ways that you can do this, but if you've got a collar, something so that you can hide the set screws, pretty much anything like that you can make work. Now with this one, we've had to make a couple little modifications, but as long as you've got a hole that's about 15 millimeters or bigger, it'll fit over top of the shaft that's there. So then we just have to do a few little modifications. As you'll see, these screws are actually, the set screws are actually a little bit too long, because with the size of the shaft, right, you go to screw them in, they're still sticking out quite a ways. So we just file the ends of those down, and then I'll show you a way to use the cap to secure the boot so that you don't need any extra pieces, and this pretty much becomes a stock looking job. Now the one thing to keep in mind with a lot of these cheaper knobs, they're not going to have the same type of weight as a lot of the more expensive knobs, but I mean, let's face it, you're driving either a C230 or a C300. They're not race cars. This is going to give you adequate sport performance for your shifts, and it actually feels pretty good in the hand, and it's a good alternative. Like I say, it's 25 bucks, so how can you go wrong, right? Okay, so I will show you this in the car, but I wanted to give you a little demo outside of that. So, this is our shifter boot. This would be the front part. This would be facing your climate controls, everything like that. This is the rear part of the boot. So I'll flip it around so that the rear part is towards you. And you see, with the old shift knob, the one that I doctored up here, you have this plastic collar, this part here, that's normally up inside the shift boot, and it's sort of glued on there, glued in there like that, and then the shifter slides down into it. Well, if you just pull that part out, it's just very lightly glued in there. It should pull out, especially if nothing's been done with it for years. That glue doesn't last very well anyway, so you pull that out. Now, this new type shifter knob, this is the key why you need something with a cap on the back. I already showed you shaving down each of those set screws. This cap screws on there, and basically the easiest way to deal with this is actually to put this cap on the inside, and then it'll sort of tuck the leather up in around there. So the easiest way I've found to do this is to actually take your boot like that. Remember, this is the back, and just flip it inside out. And sort of try to leave just a little portion of it sort of boxed back in like that. And you're going to take your shift knob and try to orientate it appropriately. and you're going to shove that portion through just like that. Once I get it lined up here, and of course you'd be doing this all in the car, you'd slip this down over the shaft first, but anyway, once you get it in there, we'll go to the car and take a look at it. But you just sort of make sure that you got that little roll right there all the way around. Then you have to be sort of careful doing this, but once you get the threads, if you can get the threads started, I'm going to have to look at this to be able to do it. Now you might have to push the shift knob up a little further to be able to get it started. And you have to be careful too, because these aluminum threads they'll want to strip out. You can sort of just snug that down a little bit. Of course, again, you know, you'd be doing this all inverted on the car, but you know, once you've got it in there like that, you've got the threads. You just need a few threads on there. It's not critical that it has to be super tight. But then once you pull it back up through, boom, just like that. You can see that it's nicely tucked in there all the way around. It seems to be the easiest method, and it's a lot easier than you know, trying to make a bunch of adapters and going through a bunch of silliness to get something that would fit the stock one. So, okay, now we're going to go install this in the car. Okay, so I wasn't really able to get some decent video of me installing this. It was way too dark out. But this is the final product.